Texas Senator Ted Cruz on Tuesday joined Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt on the campaign trail. Stitt, a hardline Republican, is facing a surprisingly strong Democratic challenge by Republican-turned-Democrat Joy Huffmeister. Recent polls show Stitt, who was widely expected to cruise to re-election, behind Huffmeister, Oklahoma Superintendent of Public Instruction, and a Republican until last year. Cruz mostly stuck to his usual stump speech, assailing President Biden and the Democrats, and urging voters to provide Republicans a red wave. The Texas senator, who has said he might run for president in 2024, has been an active guest speaker on behalf of GOP candidates.
What a blessing to be with so many freedom-loving patriots. We are gathered here tonight at an extraordinary time in our nation's history. We have a president of the United States who shakes hands with the empty air. That's not normal. We have a president who wanders off the stage until the Easter Bunny guides him back. That's not normal. We have a vice president who goes to the Korean Peninsula and gives a speech about our great friends and allies, North Korea. And really, what did the people of North Korea do to deserve Kamala Harris? And even worse, they sent her back. I'm here tonight to give you guys a word of hope and encouragement. I've got two simple messages for you this evening. Message number one: America is in crisis. Listen, we know this. You look at what's happening in Washington between Biden and Harris and Pelosi and Schumer. Every single policy they touch turns to garbage. Everything they get wrong. By the way, that's hard to do. Listen, if they rolled the dice, if they threw darts at a wall, by accident they'd get something right. Everything is wrong. Inflation out of control. You go to the grocery store, the cost of food through the roof. Cost of electricity, cost of health care, cost of lumber, cost of rent, cost of mortgages, cost of gasoline. If you can find diesel fuel. Look, it's so bad, Antifa can't afford bricks. It is so bad, Eric Swalwell can't afford Chinese dinners. In fact, it's so bad, Hunter Biden can't afford crack cocaine. Poor guy has to snort pixie sticks instead. And then there's crime. Crime skyrocketing across the country. Murder rates through the roof. Carjacking rates through the roof. Year after year of Democrats demagoguing and attacking police officers. Arguing for defunding the police. Arguing for abolishing the police. Putting in place George Soros prosecutors who let violent criminals go. Now, here's some crazy rocket science. If you release violent criminals into your community, you get more violent crime. Well, let me tell you right now, the men and women of Oklahoma support the heroes of law enforcement. And then there's the crisis at our southern border. Look, representing Texas, I spend a lot of time on our southern border. A few years ago, I was down there, went out on midnight patrol with the Border Patrol. They came up to a stash house, kicked down the door. They started pulling out some really sketchy guys, big guys, tatted up. The agents are all calling over, going, Senator, Senator, come over here. I'm going, Ixnay on the editor say. Just call me Bob. A few months ago, I took 7 senators down to the border to see firsthand what's happening. It's always been bad, but it has never been remotely this bad. You go out on patrol, you don't have to look for people crossing illegally. Within minutes, they find you. They turn themselves into you, women, children. Border Patrol agents showed us a patch of grass where a couple of weeks earlier they'd found 2 little girls, aged 5 and 6, who had been brutally sexually assaulted by human traffickers. They had to give them emergency medical care. That is happening every single day. You sit down with Texas farmers and ranchers, they show you photograph after photograph of dead bodies they find on their farms and ranches. Pregnant women, elderly people, little kids the traffickers abandon to die in the heat. Last year we had over 100,000 fentanyl overdoses from Chinese fentanyl and other opioids. And I got to tell you, the Democrats and the corrupt corporate media could not possibly care less until 50 arrived at Martha's Vineyard. And suddenly the white-bread, lily-livered, hypocritical socialist billionaires discovered we had a crisis. Well, it interfered with tea time. AOC tweeted out. She said, shout out to the people of Martha's Vineyard for demonstrating the very best of American values. So I promptly retweeted her. I said, look, you're exactly right. They deported everyone within 24 hours. And as bad as the domestic policy is, as bad as the economic policy is, the foreign policy has been even worse. A year ago, Joe Biden shamefully surrendered to the Taliban, abandoned Americans behind enemy lines. And when that happened, every enemy of America, they looked to Washington, they looked to the Oval Office, they took the measure of the man. And tragically, they concluded that our commander-in-chief was weak and feckless and ineffective. And today, every enemy of America is stronger, and America's never been at greater jeopardy. Now, some of y'all might be thinking, Ted, you said you were going to encourage us. You really suck at this. But I told you, I've got 2 messages. Here's the second. Revival is coming. And I got to tell you, I believe that with all of my heart. One of the great blessings, I get to travel all across Texas, all across the country. I get to see what is going on. In American politics, it's always had a pendulum sense to it. One party gets in power, they go too far one direction, and the American people pull it back. Every time I see another idiotic policy from the White House, part of me grieves for the damage being done the American people. But part of me quietly celebrates because it's accelerating the process of people's eyes opening up. Look, what has happened to the Democrat Party nationally is they have been radicalized. They have handed their agenda over to the crazies. Look, 5 years ago in the United States Senate, there was one open socialist, Bernie Sanders. Crazy Uncle Bernie, white hair sticking straight up. By the way, would it kill the man to use a comb? I mean, he's a socialist. He could just take somebody's. But 5 years ago, the Democrats would be like, no, we're not socialists. We're not with him. We're something different. Today, they're all socialists. Today, Bernie Sanders is the chairman of the Budget Committee, and the #1 priority for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer is to pass the Bernie Sanders socialist budget. And that brings me to why I'm here tonight. I'm here tonight supporting my friend and your governor, Kevin Stitt. Oklahoma is blessed to have a remarkable man, a patriot, a lover of liberty as your governor. And if you look at the socialist assault in Washington, understand there is nothing they would like more than to take bright red Oklahoma and flip it Democrat. Pause and ask yourself, why has $50 million been spent in Oklahoma smearing this good man? You turn on the TV and you'll read that Kevin Stitt eats newborn kittens at midnight under a full moon. And that's not fair. Everyone knows kittens are breakfast food. Sorry, Kevin, I may just have lost you the PETA vote. In Oklahoma, that'd be both of them. Thank you. So I will say, last week, I went on The View. And the night before, I went to Yankee Stadium. Sat behind home plate in bright orange Houston Astros colors. Now, that would be Game 4 when we were sweeping the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. And I will admit, more than a few Yankees told me to do something that was anatomically impossible. And actually, the next day when I went on The View, they told me to do the same thing. But listen, there is power in being a happy warrior. There is power in speaking the truth. You know, a while ago I saw a meme online. It's a picture of me, and it says, "This man ate my son." I saw it. I retweeted it. I said, he was delicious. And leftists get so mad. They cannot handle it when you laugh at them. You look at the left right now, they're angry, they're shrill. How many radical leftists does it take to screw in a light bulb? That's not funny! By the way, one time I asked that question, someone in the back of the room called out, said, well, how many does it take? And I said, actually, nobody knows, because that would require work. But listen, they're coming after Kevin because they hate what he stands for. They hate small government. They hate low taxes. They hate small businesses. They hate jobs. They hate freedom. They hate America. You know, often it takes crisis to reveal character. And I gotta say, the COVID pandemic revealed character all across this country. Petty little tyrants who tried to shut America down. And this race, boy, this race, you know, listen, it's not anymore a battle between Republican or Democrat or conservative or liberal. This is a battle between sanity and insanity. These people are crazy. And Kevin's Democrat opponent, and by the way, let's be clear, she is a Democrat. And here's what Democrats like to do. I got a secret for you. Democrats lie. I was last week in Georgia campaigning with Herschel Walker. By the way, Herschel's going to win. And Herschel and I were sitting down at lunch. I said, look, the dynamic is real simple. Democrats win when they effectively lie, and Republicans win when we effectively tell the truth. Let me tell you, I'm in the middle of a month-long 17-state national bus tour. We started in Texas, then we went to New Mexico, then Arizona, then Nevada, then Utah, then Kansas, then Missouri, then Iowa, then Ohio, then Maryland, then Virginia, then North Carolina, then Tennessee, then Georgia, then Florida, then back here, then Michigan tomorrow, and then back to Texas. And let me tell you what the Democrats are doing everywhere. They're lying. You look at these Democrat Senate candidates, they're running ads in Arizona. Mark Kelly fighting to secure the border. Oh, really? You look at, in Ohio, Tim Ryan, he practically puts on a red MAGA hat and says, go Trump. And every single time, they vote for open borders, they vote for more spending, they vote for more taxes, they vote to take away your freedom. Y'all are seeing that here in Oklahoma. Look, the Democrat candidate, she switched to being a Democrat last year. Let me ask you something. Who in their right mind sees the insanity that's happening in Washington, sees Joe Biden selling America down the river, and says, that's what I want to be with? Let me pause right now, and I want to make an official nomination of Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. as Republican of the Century, because he will have elected, as of next week, more Republicans than any human being who's ever lived. But in Oklahoma, it's even worse. Because the Democrat running for governor was in charge of schools. Was in charge of shutting down schools. And I don't know of a decision in the last 2 years that was more idiotic than shutting down schools. That frankly was evil. She shut down schools in the state of Oklahoma for a year. A full year. And let me tell you, we've gotten the national test results down. Reading scores for our kids have plummeted. Math scores for our kids have plummeted. The racial gap, the gap between black kids and white kids, has grown more in the last year than any time in the history of our country. That's the result of their political decisions, and Joe Biden made it. Every Democrat in Congress made it. And the Democrat who wants to be governor of Oklahoma made it. And it is, look, part of it is they follow the orders of the teachers' union bosses. And let me say, there are a lot of heroes who are teachers, and God bless the teachers that devote their lives to our kids. But the union bosses, the damage they do, Randy Weingarten, one of the big national teachers union bosses, she just tweeted out, we should have an amnesty on all of the policies that were put in place for COVID. Now, mind you, she's the one that urged these people, shut down the schools and keep them shut, and I don't care if the kids aren't learning. I don't care what they're doing. Shut it all down. And I got an answer to Ms. Weingarten and anyone else that wants to escape accountability. And with all respect to the house of the Lord, hell no. When you inflict damage and you don't care about the kids, and you do it over and over and over again, the voters are going to hold you accountable. And let me say something else about Governor Stitt, which is that he has been courageous, along with Ryan Walters, who's going to make a great head of education here in Oklahoma. They are going to be warriors, and they have been warriors for education freedom. And I believe education freedom is the civil rights issue of the 21st century. Every child, regardless of race, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of wealth, regardless of zip code, every child should have a right to have access to an excellent education. And so what are the Democrats trying to do? They're trying to fearmonger. They're trying to convince the people of Oklahoma, well, you know what? If we put parents in charge of education, if we defend education freedom, it means they're going to shut down rural schools. There's a technical word for that, and that's called a lie. I'll tell you, Oklahoma, like Texas, we got a lot of rural counties. We got 254 counties in Texas. We got a lot of rural communities. We got a lot of rural schools. And I'll tell you what, Kevin Stitt, as I do, stand with the farmers and ranchers and the rural men and women of America. And the Democrats think we're stupid. They think, okay, they're just going to shut down all the schools. No, you morons, you're the ones who shut down the schools. We're the ones who open up schools. This is a fundamental battle, and people are seeing it. Look, in the state of Virginia, we saw a precursor to this battle in the state of Virginia, Loudoun County, Virginia. A 15-year-old girl was sexually assaulted in the girls' bathroom by a boy wearing a skirt. And the school lied about it. The school hid it. They cared so much about their political ideology that they took the sexual predator and they transferred that boy to another school where he sexually assaulted another little girl. And the parents went to the school board meeting and they spoke up, and the school board sat there and lied to him and said it has never ever happened that a boy dressed as a skirt has sexually assaulted a little girl. And the father stood up. And for all the fathers in this room, I want you to imagine this was your daughter. He stood up and said, my daughter was raped in your school, and you're lying about it and covering up. And what did they do? They didn't protect the child. They didn't arrest the predator. They threw the father on the floor. They handcuffed him, and they arrested him. And what followed after that was Joe Biden's Justice Department sent a memo to the FBI directing the FBI to target parents, to target moms and dads as domestic terrorists using the Patriot Act. Now, here's the good news. A whole bunch of moms in Virginia noticed. By the way, Virginia saw the same battle lines. You had Terry McAuliffe, the Democrat, stand up in the debate and say, parents have no business saying what's taught to their kids in the schools. And what did McAuliffe do? He went and campaigned with Randy Weingarten, the architect of shutting all this down. Virginia, Biden won Virginia by 10 points. You know what happened last year? Virginia elected a Republican governor because the moms said enough is enough. So Oklahoma's not going to be fooled. It's not going to be deceived. It's not going to be lied to. It's not going to vote for a Democrat who willfully inflicted this on kids. And by the way, people understand they're being lied to. You remember the ridiculous theater of masks? Remember the rules. When you walk into a restaurant, you must wear a mask. Why? Because of science. Until you sit down. In which case you take your mask off and it's all fine. Why? Because of science. And actually, I got a theory on this, which is the COVID virus reacts to altitude. At 6 feet, it is deadly. Run, hide. At 3 feet, it is harmless and a tonic for regrowing the hair. By the way, that's why Fauci's safe. He's only 5 feet tall. But everyone knew this was nonsense. These rules made no sense. And of course, what did the Democrat do? Say all the kids need to wear a mask. Enough is enough. So y'all are on the fence here. All right, I'm going to say two final things. Number one, early voting starts tomorrow. I want to ask everyone here to come out and vote for Kevin Stitt 10 times. Now look, we're not Democrats. I am not urging voter fraud. I saw 2 reporters pull out notepads. Ooh, urging multiple felonies from the stage. Let me tell you how you do that. You make sure you show up either in early voting or on election day. And when you leave tonight, you pull out your cell phone and you scroll through your contacts. and find 9 people and send a text to 9 people. Send a text to your sister. Send a text to your next door neighbor or your coworker. Send a text to your son. Say, listen, this election matters. It matters that Oklahoma remain a beacon for freedom. It matters that we not destroy the oil and gas industry. It matters that parents be in charge of their kids and not left-wing Democrats who think kids are their property. And you tell them, I know this man. And let me tell you right now, if you get 9 other people to show up and vote who wouldn't have voted otherwise, you just voted 10 times. In November, we're not just going to see a red wave, we're going to see a red tsunami. And in January, I look forward to walking down the hallway in the Capitol with my good friend Kevin Hearn. And Kevin and I are going to bump into a little man in overalls carrying a screwdriver, coming to change the sign on Nancy Pelosi's door. And then Chuck Schumer is going to get on the Acela and head back to Manhattan. And then we're going to tell Joe Biden that it's 2025, and he'll just wander back to Delaware. This is a fight worth fighting. This nation is worth defending. Free enterprise is worth defending. Oil and gas is worth defending. Moms and dads are worth defending. Our kids are worth defending. The Constitution is worth defending. The Bill of Rights is worth defending. Oklahoma is worth defending. America is worth defending. And God bless you, Oklahoma will be standing with the nation, defending the greatest nation in the history of the world. God bless you and thank you.